Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Inside the Blue podcast. I meant to get this episode out yesterday. Today's Tuesday, so this was supposed to be out yesterday, but Easter Sunday happened, and I didn't get a chance to record. I'm also not on spring break anymore. I was on spring break last week from school, but now it's over. So I had class yesterday, so I was going to record yesterday, but I had to go to class, so I'm doing it today. This is going to be obviously the recap of the Nationals series, where the Dodgers proceeded to get their second sweep of the season. So the two series that the Dodgers have actually won this season were both sweeps. So that's really awesome to see. We discussed last episode that the bats needed to come alive because they were extremely cold during the Guardian series, and boy, did they come alive during the National series. I mean, we'll get into that in this episode, but the bats did come back alive. So yeah, let's get right into it. I don't really have any other news from LA sports. The Lakers are still doing their thing. They're officially in the playoffs, like I said. Last episode, the Kings were actually out of a playoff spot since I recorded that last episode, and they're currently fighting for a playoff spot right now, I think. Actually, you know what? Let me check the standings real quick for the NHL. So right now in the standings, the Kings currently are in the wild card. So the Kings right now are currently 32 wins and 26 losses with 19 overtime losses. So they are 32, 26, and 19. They currently hold a wild card spot. And hopefully they get to keep that. The Ducks face the Nashville Predators tonight. So if the Predators lose, that keeps the Kings in a playoff spot. So rooting for the Ducks tonight. So that's what's going on in terms of what's happening in LA sports, in terms of the Kings and the Lakers. And so that's about it. Let's get into the Nationals series. One bit of Dodger news, though. We already know, obviously, that Mookie Betts left one of the games with lower back pain, and then he got placed on the injured list. Initially with that lower back pain, but then we come to find out that it's actually an oblique strain. And apparently he's doing really well. He's progressing well, so that's always good to hear. Mookie Betts should be back soon. I don't know if there's actually an official timeline of his return, but I'm hoping it's going to be soon. So in order to fill his spot on the roster, Hyesung Kim has been called up from AAA. And that's always good to see and to hear because Hyesung Kim is really, really good. He always contributes very well when he is on the major league roster. So Hyesung Kim is currently up at the major league level, and that's always good to see. So let's get into this game or this series. So let's start with game one, obviously. So game one, the Dodgers win by a final score of 13-6. The starting pitcher of note in this one is Emmett Sheehan, who goes 5 2/3 innings, giving up 4 runs on 7 hits with 3 walks, and he strikes out 2 and gets the win. Still not as good of a performance from Emmett Sheehan as you would like. He currently has an 8 ERA on the season, and his WHIP is 1.89. So Emmett Sheehan needs to sharpen up a bit. I know he's still a young pitcher. He still has a lot to learn and a lot to tweak in terms of his pitching mechanics. So hopefully as the season progresses, we get to see him settle in a bit more and have better pitching performances. The Dodger offense this game, as we stated in the previous episode, needed to wake up. The bats were too cold. They needed to heat up again, and boy, did they heat up. So the Dodgers had 13 runs on 16 hits. They walked 5 times, and they struck out 8 times. They batted .390 this series. Not this series, this game, excuse me. The Dodgers bats woke up against the Nationals. They really needed to start heating up, and they did in a huge way. So let's get into this game. The bottom of the first, CJ Abrams hits a 3-run homer to give the Nationals a very early 3-0 lead. And I don't know what it is about CJ Abrams versus the Dodgers. He just always goes off. He is a Dodger killer. And I went on StatMuse. I don't know how many of you out there know what StatMuse is or even use StatMuse, but I went on StatMuse just to look up what CJ Abrams' numbers were against the Dodgers in his career. So these are his career numbers versus the Dodgers. He is batting .305 with 25 hits, 9 homers, 16 RBIs, and 20 runs scored in 23 games against the Dodgers. That's pretty incredible. This guy just absolutely loves to hit against the Dodgers and loves to pummel the Dodgers. So yeah, I just thought that was really, really interesting. He's just a player that really loves to go against the Dodgers and does very well against them. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out. Thought it was super interesting. So we go to the top of the third where Shohei Ohtani finally hits his first home run of the season. It is a 3-run homer, so that ties the game at 3. So yeah, Shohei Ohtani finally woke up. He gets his first home run of the season, and that's always a good thing to see. Mookie Betts then hits a 2-run homer, which makes it 5-3. And after this home run, I believe, is when he was pulled from the game because of that lower back pain that turned out to be an oblique strain. So before he goes on the injured list, he hits a big 2-run homer that puts the Dodgers in front 5-3. And then in the bottom of the third, CJ Abrams again, because he loves to hit against the Dodgers, gets an RBI single that scores Dylan Lyle to make it 5-4. So the Nationals are chipping away at that deficit there to make it a 1-run game. But then the hottest bat in the Dodger lineup, Andy Pages, in the top of the fourth, hits a 2-run homer to make it 7-4 Dodgers. And Andy Pages is on another planet right now. He is just doing such a phenomenal job in the Dodger lineup. He has had such an incredible start, and I believe he was named National League Player of the Week. So, I mean, that's really awesome to see, again, because Pages last season was just really slow offensively. So to see him as hot as he is right now is something awesome, and I hope it keeps up throughout the rest of the season. He definitely has a good shot to be an all-star. So then that happens. So it's 7-4 Dodgers. Then Freddie Freeman hits a 2-run homer to make it 9-4. And then Teoscar Hernandez gets an RBI double to score Max Muncy, making it 10-4 Dodgers. Kyle Tucker then comes up and gets an RBI single that scores Teoscar Hernandez to make it 11-4 Dodgers. So the Dodgers had a very, very big fourth inning. They put up a bunch of runs and make this game a 7-run lead. And then they go scoreless, and then the top of the 7th, Kyle Tucker comes up and gets his first home run as a Dodger finally as well to make it 12-4. So Ohtani, Freeman, Tucker, and Betts before he went on the injury list were all beginning to heat up, which is something you love to see. I stated in a previous episode that these 4 hitters really needed to get their bats to wake up because they are the core powerhouse of the Dodger lineup, and it seems that their bats are finally waking up, so that's always good to see. So it's 12-4 Dodgers. We go to the bottom of the 8th where former Dodger Keibert Ruiz gets an RBI single to score Nason Nunez, which makes it 12-5. Jacob Young then gets an RBI groundout that scores Jorbit Vivas that make it 12-6. Then in the top of the 9th, Shohei Ohtani hits a sacrifice fly to score Alex Call, which makes it the final score of 13-6. So that was the all the scoring and the important moments that happened in this game. So the Dodger bats obviously woke up, which is a great thing. Let's discuss the Dodger bullpen. So I'm going to do, going forward, I'm going to discuss the bullpen as a whole, like combine all their numbers. I know in previous episodes to start this season, I was going through each relievers stat line. I'm going to combine them all, and this is how the format's going to be going forward when discussing the bullpen. So the Dodger bullpen combined for 3 1/3 innings pitched, giving up 2 runs on 4 hits, walking 2, and striking out 3. We saw Jack Dreyer, Blake Trinan, and Ben Kasparius, who all had very clean innings this game, which is very good. But Edgardo Henriquez was the one that was charged with the 2 runs. So he didn't have a clean inning. He gave up 2 runs, but it ultimately didn't really matter because the Dodgers blew out the Nats 13-6. So that was game 1. Now we go to game 2, where the Dodgers win by a final score of 10-5. The starting pitcher of note in this game was Tyler Glasnow, who goes 6 innings, giving up 2 runs on 4 hits, walking 2, and striking out 9, and he gets the win. So Tyler Glasnow had a spectacular start. He got 9 strikeouts, only giving up 2 runs on 4 hits. And he goes 6 and gets the win. So he had a phenomenal start, as we all know that he would anyway, because when Tyler Glasnow is healthy, he is just a very dominant pitcher. So the Dodger offense this game scored 10 runs on 16 hits. They walked 3 times and struck out 8 times again. So they batted .381 this game. So a little bit less than the previous game where they batted .390, but still a very, very big offensive explosion this game as well. Another double-digit win for them. So let's get into it. So the top of the first, Freddie Freeman hits a 2 RBI double that scores Mookie Betts and Kyle Tucker to quickly make it 2-0 Dodgers. The top of the second, Miguel Rojas hits a sacrifice fly to score Alex Freeland, making it 3-0. Freddie Freeman again hits a 2 RBI double that scores Ohtani and Kyle Tucker to make it 5-0. So the Dodgers quickly in the first 2 innings have a 5-0 lead. They are just absolutely steamrolling the Nationals. The top of the third, former National Alex Call gets an RBI single that scores Andy Pages to make it 6-0. And then the Nationals finally get on the board in the bottom of the third with Luis Garcia Jr.'s RBI triple that scores Jacob Young to make it 6-1. So now the Nationals are down 5 runs. Bottom of the fourth comes around. Curtis Mead hits an RBI double to score C.J. Abrams to make it 6-2 Nationals. So now they are chipping away slowly. Very slowly at the lead. But then in the top of the fifth, Andy Pages again hits a 3-run home run to make it 9-2 Dodgers, which just puts this game out of reach for the Nationals. Kyle Tucker then comes up and gets an RBI single that scores Alex Call to make it 10-2. So now the Nationals are down by 8 runs. The bottom of the eighth comes around. The Dodgers' favorite hitter, C.J. Abrams, comes up and hits a 2-run homer to make it 10-4 Nationals. So the guy who just loves to hit against the Dodgers, of course, gets a 2-run homer. And then in the bottom of the ninth, Jose Tena gets an RBI single that scores Jorbit Vivas and makes it 10-5 Nationals. And that is the final score at the end. So that was Game 2. Let's go over the Dodger bullpen this game. They go 3 innings, giving up 3 runs on 4 hits, walking none, and striking out 2. Tanner Scott had a clean inning, which is very, very good to see. We love to see a clean inning from Tanner Scott. Ben Kasparius and Edgardo Henriquez gave up runs. So Edgardo Henriquez gave up runs again, and so did Ben Kasparius this time. So they did not have clean innings, but again, ultimately didn't matter. The Dodgers won again with double digits. So that was game 2, and now we move on to the final game of the series on Easter Sunday, where the Dodgers win by a final score of 8-6. And the pitcher of note in this one is Roki Sasaki. Now, Roki Sasaki this game had a bit of a worse game than he did to start the season. He started the season off very well. This game, not so much. He goes 5 innings pitched, giving up 6 runs on 5 hits, walking 3, and striking out 5. So a big drop-off here for Roki Sasaki. He gave up 6 runs on 5 hits. That's not something you want to see. He did strike out 5, so that's good, but he definitely needs to lower those hits and those runs a bit, of course. The Dodger offense this game scored 8 runs on 11 hits, walked 5 times, but they struck out 10 times. So you don't like to see that, but they did still put up 11 hits. They batted .306 this game. So this series they batted obviously in the 300s. They were just putting up a lot of runs, getting a lot of hits, and that's always good. So the scoring in this game starts in the top of the third, where Shohei Ohtani hits his second home run of the season to make it 1-0. So Ohtani homers, he gives the Dodgers a 1-0 lead. The bottom of the third comes around. Luis Garcia Jr. hits a 2-run homer to put the Nationals in front 2-1. So the Nationals actually grab a lead this game. In the bottom of the fourth, Keibert Ruiz, former Dodger, hits an RBI single that scores C.J. Abrams. So now the Nationals lead 3-1. And then a very dangerous hitter in James Wood comes up and hits a 3-run homer to put the Dodgers down 5 runs to make it 6-1. So now the Dodgers are down for the first time this series, and they're down by 5. So that's a pretty not a big deficit, but one that they're going to have to start chipping away at, which they do. So in the top of the 6th, Dalton Rushing hits a 2-run homer, which is his first home run of the season, to cut the lead in half to make it 6-3 Nationals. Then in the top of the 8th, the Dodgers have the bases loaded, and Santiago Espinal comes up to the plate, where he proceeds to get a 2 RBI single that scores Freddie Freeman and Andy Pages to cut the deficit to just 1. It is 6-5 Nationals. So the Dodgers are only down 1, and then Kyle Tucker reaches on a fielder's choice. Will Smith is thrown out at second. But Kyle Tucker is credited with an RBI because Alex Call comes in to score to tie the game at 6. So now the game is tied, and then Ohtani comes up and gets a sacrifice fly, which scores Santiago Espinal to have the Dodgers take the lead 7-6. So the Dodgers were down 5, and they scored 6 runs to put them in the lead 7-6. So now the Dodgers are in the lead, and then in the top of the 9th, Teoscar Hernandez comes up, hits a home run, and makes it 8-6, which was the final score. So the Dodgers had to come from behind in this game, which they did, and they complete the sweep of the Nationals. The Dodger bullpen this game goes 4 innings, giving up 2 hits with no runs, walking 2 and striking out 3. So all of the relievers that came out this game, that is Alex Vesia, Jack Dreyer, and Tanner Scott, they all had very clean innings, and Edwin Diaz came out for the 9th to secure his 3rd save of the season. So an all-around good series for the Dodgers, one where the bats really woke up and heated up again, which was the most important thing coming into this series. So some series takeaways, like I said, the Dodger bats came alive, which is always good. Andy Pages was red hot again. He stays red hot this series, and hopefully that continues. Shohei Ohtani, Kyle Tucker, and Freddie Freeman are all starting to heat up, which is very, very important. The starting pitching needs to sharpen up. Roki Sasaki, Emmett Sheehan, they really need to sharpen up. Tyler Glasnow was good as always, but Sheehan and Sasaki really need to sharpen up their mechanics, get better command of their pitches, and really start lowering those hits and those runs. And the Dodger bullpen is still going very strong, which is always something to see, because last season they were horrendous and overworked. And I think that since starting pitching is, we don't have a bunch of starters on the injured list, and for the most part, other than Sasaki and Sheehan, they've been pretty dominant. The bullpen has been able to do what they do best, and that's just come in, eat innings once the starters are done, and shut down the game. So that's always good. And of course, we have a lockdown closer now in Edwin Diaz, so that always helps. So looking ahead, the Dodgers they already have begun at the time that I'm recording this, the 3-game series versus the Blue Jays, that World Series rematch that we have all been anticipating. They've already played the first game, and currently they're playing the second game, which I actually have on my TV right now. I just have it muted so that way I can record this episode. But we'll get into all that when it concludes. So yeah, they're playing the Blue Jays for 3 games, and then they come back home this weekend, April 10th through the 12th, to face the Texas Rangers. So we will go over that game or that series when that concludes as well. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I will see you guys after the Blue Jays series.